Alright guys, it's Miss Leigh here, going for challenge number 2 on the JLab SOL stuff. Yeah, I know, technical term, right? Alright, question number 1. What value of x makes this equation true? Alright, so 3x minus 20... equals negative 2x. Alrighty, so I want to get the x's on one side and my negative 20 on the other. So I am going to subtract 3x from both sides. And that's going to give me negative 20 equals negative 5x. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. And that's going to give me 4 equals x. And H should be our answer. Woo-woo, correct! That's my Mr. Sorfy impression. Alright, number 2. Jill was looking at a picture of herself and 3 friends. She measured the height of her image as 10 centimeters. If Jill is actually 60 inches tall, which equation can she use to find H, the actual height in inches of one of her friends, who is C centimeters tall in the picture? Alright, so I'm going to solve this using cross multiplication. So C represents the height in the picture, and H represents the actual height. So C equal, my handwriting, I guess, is not all that it should be. Let's try that again. C equals height in picture, and H equals actual height. So to set this up, I'm going to have C over H. Now we know that for Jill, her picture height is 10. And her actual height is 60. We're trying to come up with the formula using her ratio to find out how tall one of her friends is. So we're going to cross multiply. So 10H equals 60C. We want H to be by itself, so we're going to divide by 10, divide by 10. H equals 60 divided by 10 is 6. And we still have the C there. So the formula to find out the height of the other people in her picture is H equals 6C. Let's see if Miss Leigh is right. Fingers crossed. Yay! Number 3. The ordered pairs form a quadratic pattern. What is the missing value of y? This is another one of those problems where Desmos is your good buddy. So I'm going to take the information in this chart and put it in Desmos. Alright, and now we have a slightly different formula to use. So like before we did the line of best fit for a linear equation, now we're going to do this something similar for a quadratic formula. So my equation here is going to be y1 tilde, and then instead of doing mx1 plus b, we're doing ax1 squared plus bx1 plus c. Alright, and that gives me my a and b and c. So now we're going to take this same formula and we're going to change it just a teeny bit. So now instead of saying y1, we're going to say y equals, and then our a is 1, and then our x squared, we're trying to find out when x is 5. So 5 squared is going to go there, plus b is 0. 0 times anything is 0. But just for consistency's sake, I'll put the x in here because it's 5 again. And then c is 1. So when x is equal to 5, y is equal to 26. So if we put 26 up here, it falls into our parabola. So that should be our answer. Let's check ourselves to find out. Yay! Alright, so now we have a graph and we have a function. F of x equals negative 3x plus 3. So I'm going to go in my whiteboard and I'm going to do f of x equals negative 3x plus 3. And we want to know the value of f of 3. So that means that wherever we have x, we're going to plug in 3. So negative 3 times 3 plus 3. Negative 9 plus 3. And that gives us negative 6. Which is one of our answer choices. So let's see if we're correct. Correct! Next question. A repairman estimated the cost of replacing a part in Mrs. James' computer would be at most $225. The estimate included $35 for a part, $40 service charge, and $30 per hour for labor. What is the maximum number of hours the repairman estimated for the job? Alright, so I've figured out what numbers are important, and I've written them down on my paper. So there's a one-time fee of $35 for the part, one-time fee for a $40 service charge. Those two items are not going to change. I've decided that X is going to be my number of hours needed to fix whatever her repair is, and it's $30 each hour to pay for the labor. So 30 times the number of hours. So now I'm just going to add those up. So it's going to be 35 plus 40 and 30x, because we don't know how many hours yet. The other two don't have variables because they're just a one-time set fee. It's not dependent on anything. But the cost of the labor, that depends on how many hours our dude works. And then a total of $225. All right, so I'm going to add those two together. And we get 75 plus 30x plus 225. Now I want that 30x by itself, so I'm going to subtract and that's going to give me 30x equals 150. I want the x by itself, so I'm going to do the opposite of multiply, and we're going to divide. And x equals 5 hours. So in order to stay under $225, the most that our repairman can work is 5 hours. Let's see if we're right. Woohoo! Love it. All right, number 6. What is the value of 6x minus 3y over x times y when x equals 6 and y equals -4? Oh, that's a mouthful. All right, we're going to go to our paper and start working it out. All right, so I copied my problem to my paper. And in all honesty, this is something that you could do in Desmos, but I'm going to do it on paper because I feel like it's easier for me to keep everything in order. So 6x, x is 6, so that becomes 6 times 6 minus 3 times y, y is -4, over x times y. So 6 times -4. All right, so 6 times 6 is 36. 3 times -4 is -12. But we have a -1 out here to multiply it by, so it becomes +12. 6 times -4 is -24. So that is 36 plus 12 is 48 over -24. And if I'm not mistaken, 48 divided by 24, we're going to get -2, which is one of our answer choices. Hey, we are correct. Number 7. Which of the following equations is an example of the distributive property? Alright, so on F, if we did 3 times 2, that would be 6. And then 3 times 3 would be 9. So our distributive property is actually this first one. When simplified, 2x squared y cubed all to the 4th power equals. Alright, so to solve this, I'm going to write it out completely. Think of this 4 outside the parentheses as saying you've got 4 sets of each one of these numbers or variables. So we have, oops, helps if I turn my pen on. There we go. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So there's our 4 sets of 2. Now we need our 4 sets of the x squared. X squared times x squared times x squared times x squared. And now we need 4 sets of the y3. Alright, so 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And then now we can just add up our x's. Or I said that wrong. We can add up our exponents because we have the same base. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So x to the 8th. And now we're going to do the same with our y. Our bases are all the same, so we just add the exponents. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 3 is 12. And it looks like F is our answer. So let's see if we're correct. Oh yeah, there we go. What is the square root of 180 written in simplest radical form? Alright, so I'm going to go to my paper where I've written my 180 under my little house. So first thing I'm going to do is start breaking that 180 down into factors. So I'm thinking 18 and 10, because that would give me the 180. 18 can be broken down into 2 and 9. 10 can be broken down into 2 and 5. 2 can't be broken down anymore. 9 can be broken down. 2 can't be broken down anymore. And 5 can't be broken down anymore. So now, since we're dealing with square root, I'm looking for sets of 2. So I have a set of 2 here. And I have a set of 2 here. So these get taken to the outside of my house. Oops, made a mistake. Erase. Two times 3 is 6. And the only thing I'm left over with is the 5, so the 5 stays under the roof. Oh, and sure enough, there it is, G. Finally final answer. Woo! Got it correct. Consider the following models. Okay. What polynomial is represented by this diagram? Alright, so it looks like I've got 4 right here of these x squared shapes. So 4 times x squared is 4x squared. So let me erase this. Alright, and then I have 6 of these rectangulars, so that's going to be 6 times x. Now we're going to look at the gray. I think the gray, those are 4 of the negative x, but they're just turned sideways. And then we have 6 of these small gray ones. So 6 times -1 is -6. We're going to combine like terms. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then -6. 4x squared minus 2x, nope. 4x squared plus 2x. There we go, so our answer is J. Correct! Woohoo! Alright, when n is greater than 0, which expression is equivalent to the square root of 42n squared in simplest form? Alright, so I need to go to my paper. Alright, so I'm on my paper. First thing I'm going to do is break down the 42. Breaks down into 6 and 7. 6 can be broken down further into 2 and 3. 7 cannot be broken down further. Do you guys see any sets of 2 numbers? I see the number 2, I see the number 3, and the number 7, but there's no duplicates. So 42 is staying under the house. So normally the next thing we would have to do would be look at the variable n to the 9th power. But I want to show you something. Look at your answer choices. We have narrowed them down already. It's now either going to be F or it's going to be G, because those are the only 2 that have 42 under the house. So let's go back and look at our n's. So n times 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 n. I have a group of 2, group of 2, group of 2, group of 2. Alright, so that is n to the 1, 2, 3, 4th power. And then you have 1 n left over. So we're looking for n to the fourth power outside of the square root of 42n, which is your first one, f. Hey! Alright, which expression correctly represents 10 less than twice the cost? Alright, they are telling us that the cost is c and it's got to be multiplied 2 times. Twice the cost means you're multiplying times 2. So, maybe f, maybe g, no, not g, because in g, they're dividing, so we know it's not g. H, 2 times the cost. There we go, could be that one. Let's look at j. This time they're adding 2 to the cost, so it's not that, because twice the cost means times, multiply, so it can't be adding. So our answer is going to have to be either F or H. So, $10 less than twice the cost. So that means it's going to be 2C and then minus 10. So the answer is going to be H. Oh, fun one. Solution to the system of equations shown. Let's go to our whiteboard. Alright, so over on my whiteboard I have written the equation, and then I wrote my little X factor deal. So now I need to figure out what exactly my A, B, and C are. So my A is positive 1. B is negative 1. And C is negative 12. So I'm going to set up my cross, or my X. A times C, 1 times negative 12 is negative 12. My B is negative 1. Now, what two things multiplied together give you negative 12, but when added give you negative 1? You can go to Desmos and use that to help you to figure it out, but I happen to know that it's 3 and 4. Now, if we added these together right now, that would give you positive 7, so we have to switch the signs on one of these. I need a negative 1, so negative 3 and 4 would give me positive 1, so it's not that. But if I do negative 4 and positive 3, that would give me negative 1. And then we're dividing by A, which is 1. And that gives us whole numbers. So our next step is to write our factorization. So it's going to be x plus 3 times x minus 4. Let's see if that is one of our answers. X plus 3, x minus 4. So F it is. Yay! Sally believes that the more time she spends in the grocery store, the more money she spends. Her recent purchases are recorded in the table. So X represents her minutes in the store, so how long she was there, and Y represents how much money she spent. So which linear equation best fits the data? Again, this is a chart, so I'm instantly thinking Desmos. So I'm going to go to Desmos. Alright, and as you can see, I've already transferred the information from the chart over here to a table. If you don't remember how to do a table, remember you just hit the plus sign, and I almost said X, and then the table. All right, so now we're going to do our line of best fit. So remember that weird tilde symbol. We're going to do y1 tilde mx1 plus b. And that gives us our slope and our y-intercept for this particular table points. So now I'm going to use this information to write my equation. If I can find it. Okay, so we're dealing with whole numbers. So we're going to do y equals mx. So we're dealing with whole numbers. 3.2 rounded up would just be 3. And then we have negative 9.9, which rounded would give us negative 10. So y equals 3x minus 10 should be our answer. X minus 10. So positive 3x minus 10. There we go. Let's see if Miss Leigh's right. Correct! Awesome. Alright, so in this problem we have to figure out what one of the factors of this equation are. So we're going to do something we did earlier. We're doing our little cross thing. So my A is going to be 5. B is 13, C is negative 6. And I wrote my formula down just to help me keep everything straight. So I'm going to write it right here. So A times C, 5 times negative 6, is negative 30. B is 13. And we're going to divide each of those by A, which is 5. So now I'm going to go to Desmos. And we need to figure out what factors go into 30 and add together to give you 13. So I'm going to do negative 30. Oh, Miss Leigh just caught. Oh, no, it's there. Okay, sorry. Negative 30 divided by x. And then we click on the wheel and change it to a table. Oh, this works out pretty good. Negative 2 and 15. If we added those together, we would get 13. So I'm going to go with that. So negative 2 and 15. This one would give you 3. So that's going to be x plus 3. This one does not give you a whole number. So we move that 5 to in front of the x. And then it will be minus 2. So let's see if either of those factors matches up with our answers. Looks like they're going with the 5x. 5x minus 2, so it's J. Woohoo! Awesome. And look, guys, we're at number 17. We're almost done. Alright, Loki said the following graph does not represent a function of x. Which pair of points could Loki use to prove that her statement is correct? Alright, so what you're looking for here is you do not want your x's to be repeating. Because remember, for something to be a function, it's got to pass the vertical line test. So the 2 points that would end up touching on here, because they have repeating threes, repeating x's, -3 and -3. So -3, 4 would be up here, and -3, -4 would be down here. They're on the same line, so they prove that this is not a function. So I'm going to go with G. Ah, yeah. All right. Oh, we're getting closer. The speed of sound in water is 1.46 times 10 to the third power meters per second. The speed of sound in air is 3.31 times 10 squared meters per second. How much faster does sound travel in water than in air? Alright, so how much faster than? That's a subtraction problem. And because we're dealing with some big numbers, we're going to go use Desmos. Alright, so the first thing you want is your parentheses, and your first number is 1.46 times 10, this little AB button, to the third, tab, parentheses, minus, parentheses, 3.31 times 10 squared, parentheses, and that gives you 1129. Alright, so 1129. We can rewrite this in scientific notation form, which is that number times 10 to the whatever power. We're going over 1, 2, 3 places. Imagine that this is 0.0. We're moving that decimal 1, 2, 3 places. So this becomes 1.129 times 10 to the third. And let's see if that's one of our answer choices. 1.29 times 10 to the second, so no. 1.129 times 10 to the third, so make sure you take a moment to read it carefully. Final answer, correct. The velocity of an object in a liquid can be described by the equation v equals 20 minus t squared, where v is the velocity in meters per second and t is time in seconds. At what time will v equal 0? Alright, so for the sake of time, I've gone ahead and written out this problem. So the equation that they gave us is v equals 20 minus t squared. And we got to figure out what's going on when v equals 0. So if we substitute 0 in for v, we are given a quadratic equation written backwards. So down here in the next line, I have written it so that it's in the ax squared plus bx plus c equation that we are familiar with. Alright, and then I figured out that my a was -1, b is -1, and c is 20. Alright, so now I'm going up here. I have written out my quadratic formula, -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I apologize if I'm talking fast, I'm just running out of time. Alright, so I substituted in all of my b's and a's and c's to get negative 1 times -1 plus minus square root of -1 squared minus 4 times -1 times 20 over 2 times -1, which then gives me 1 plus minus square root of 1 minus -80 over -2, which then gives me 1 plus minus the square root of 81 over 2. And at this point, I break it down into 1 plus 9 over -2, or 1 minus 9 over -2. That gives us 10 over -2, or -8 over -2, which further simplifies down to -5 or 4. Since we are talking about time and speed, oh, sorry, wrong button. Okay, we're talking about time and speed. We can't have negative time, so your answer has to be 4. So let's see if we are correct. Yeah, buddy. Love it. All right, last question. Victor bought a computer for $1,800. He made a down payment of $200 and will pay the rest in 5 equal payments. If P represents the amount of each payment, which equation can be used to find this amount? My goodness, let's take a minute to look. All right, so I copied all the answers onto here because I want to logic this out. All right, so he bought a computer for $1,800. That means that after our equal sign is going to be 1,800 because that's his total. So if his total is 1,800, then it can't be 1,800 plus 5p, so we know that it's not F. If his total is 1,800, we know it's not this one because we can't tack on an additional 200. So we have equals 1,800 and equals 1,800. So we need to decide between these two. He made a down payment of $200. We're still there. But it doesn't say that he made multiple down payments. It just says he made a down payment of $200. So that P next to the 200, that's a variable. So that indicates that there's more money going on. So it's not that one. He made a down payment of $200 and will pay the rest in 5 equal payments. So 5 with P representing the payment. So 1,800 was our total. He paid $200, and he has 5 more payments of a certain amount of dollars. So I is our answer. Or excuse me, J. Miss Leigh's eyesight is not that great. Hey! And let's see how we did. And Miss Leigh got 100%. So Miss Leigh is going to take a picture and submit it to Mr. Sorfy. Challenge met. All right. Have a good day, guys.